Breaker 19, you're tuning in only 4Trucks. Come on back, brother. Please subscribe, brother.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Joe, and you're watching Only 4Trucks. Some of you probably already know me from previous videos, and there may be quite a bit of you that are just watching for the first time. If you are, please subscribe because you're missing out on some really good truck stuff here on YouTube. Today, I'm driving around in some new junk. I prefer old junk, but this is what I got. You know, it fills the seat for the time being and puts some money in my pocket, so it's worth doing. But the reason I'm here talking to you guys is I figured it's a good way for me to, get my thought across and, speak to you guys on how this all became what it is and how I got the trucking in the first place. And I figured what better way than in the cab of a Mack. I mean, I'd rather it be 40 years older, but, we can make do. I think this one's like a 21 or something like that. It's a little too new for me. But, I mean, it's, back to the cab of a Mack. I mean, as far as I can remember, my childhood, it was spent, on the side of my dad in an R model. And, I was lucky enough to where I grew up, it was pretty much in the middle of a construction yard. My dad worked for a company, Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, and we lived there right in the middle of their yard. I mean, there was a two-story house. We called it the castle. And I mean, I got pictures of me at birthday parties with, hoods of R models and stuff sitting behind us, and there was just trucks everywhere, and that's, where I grew up, and it was just what I was around every day. And luckily, my dad and my uncle and other people in my life put me in trucks and put me on equipment at a young age, and I got to play around with stuff and learn. And I couldn't imagine it, that I would have turned out any other way due to that stuff. And anything with a motor, anything that made noises, it just interested me. I wanted to know how it worked, how to fix it, and then how to enjoy it, riding it or driving it or using it. And then as I got older, it turned into how do I get better at this? How do I get good at it? And sound that the trucks made and shifting them and all that stuff. It just, it blew me away and I fell in love with it. So, as I got older, my goal was to shift as good as anybody else, so, let's try to give you guys a rundown of where I started and how I got here. So, like I said, started my dad at a young age, riding shotgun and moving equipment, helping him chain stuff down. And my dad had a very interesting way of teaching me, he didn't always give me the full lesson. I remember, young, I mean, maybe younger than 10 years old, I'd jump out with him, try to chase him down, and he'd say, why don't you know how to use that binder? I don't know. I've never seen one before, You watched me do it last week. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm a little kid. I'm not paying attention to what way you're pressing that button. And I just see you do this all the time. You just start cranking. So I would drive and I'd start cranking. You're going the wrong way. Well, I didn't know, But that's, that's how it was. I don't know. He just yelled a lot, But, there shortly after, through school and everything, coming out of high school, I got to work at a place where my dad worked back before I was born. That would be, ABC Construction in Bensalem. And, that gentleman, Michael Nugent, he still, to this day, is a really good friend of ours. And he allowed us to take the B81 everywhere we have recently. And I can't thank him enough for that. But, when I graduated high school, I went and was welding for him out of his shop and doing things until I could get my CDL. And I had an offer to go do some demolition in the city. So I did some interior demo for about a year. And then I was 19 and they laid me off. And I said, man, I can get my CDL. So I, reached out to Mike and went to help him with some stuff. And I was welding and running a wheel loader. And that atmosphere then, you know, I ran a wheel loader, like moved it around the yard and stuff, but I've never dug into a pile. I've never loaded trucks before. But, you know, Mike had faith and he was willing to teach me, so he threw me right into a loader and I went to town and I was loading trucks and moving rail cars and all this stuff at this big sugar place, and it was a really cool experience, to say the least. So, you know, right around that time he had an R model, which this R model goes way back. My dad actually drove that R model back from Alabama back in the early 90s. And here I am, you know, 25 years later, driving that truck. You know, I was 19 or so, and it sat at that sugar building hooked to a box trailer, and I called Mike, and Mike, can I drive 200 truck around? And he let me, and I practiced shifting it, and it had an 8-speed in it, or a Mach 9 speed, and I would just shift the first 5 to low side. And I'd go back and start over again, go back and start over again. And all I wanted to do was be able to shift them perfectly, you know, and just, you know, throw it out, wait, and get it in, and just nail every gear to the best it could be done, and look in the mirror and watch it roll smoke. And I was, you know, then I started pulling the trailer around and trying to learn how to back it up, and it was just an incredible opportunity to learn, you know. And one night he called me and, you know, asked me to move the trailer, and I really didn't know how too much. And, you know, he had a gentleman come show me, and he was patient enough to sit with me all night long while I backed up to this door. I mean, it must have took me 100 tries, you know, and I got it eventually. And then shortly thereafter, you know, Mike let me get my CDL. I took his truck and low bed down and took my test, and I failed the first time on the pre-trip, and it was some silly air pressure countdown nonsense. But I got past that, passed the road test in the first shot. You know, they couldn't understand why I brought such a long trailer. You know, I had a 3-axle low bed, decent sized Mack tractor, but that's all I had. It's all I knew, you know. So then my dad got hurt. He was the #1 low bed driver. He got hurt, and I had to take his place. So I was forced to learn quick. I mean, I went from not knowing a thing and just starting to drive to moving oversized machines the next day. And you know, my first move, I believe, was 2 backhoes in the snow. I almost rear-ended Mike's nephew Joey. That was a good one. And then, you know, right after that, it was all oversized equipment. I mean, D8s, 336s, big excavators, all kind of stuff. But I couldn't really do well with my dad. I mean, he would yell a lot, and he wasn't willing to teach it. You know, he actually taped something over the RPM gauge. Don't look at that. You don't need to look at that. You know, and it was just a very interesting way to learn. So luckily for me, my Uncle Donald, who's my father's brother, he's been on the channel, and I hope he is more, you know, to come in the near future. But he was willing to listen to me. So he would take his time and hear what I had to say, and he would tell me some things and show me the ropes. So I really got a lot of my early knowledge from him. You know, as like I said, my dad really wasn't willing to hear me out and teach me. You know, it was just kind of you should know already kind of thing. So Donald would deal with me, and I'd be thinking so much about shifting. Every time I grab a gear, the truck would drift to the right. Donald would look at me, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I'm not even looking at the road. I'm just thinking about this thing. So I finally grew past that. And to think about, you know, what came next there, my father and I, we always butted heads. And I ended up having to quit ABC because him and I were kind of bumping heads. I tried to get into a dump truck for a little bit to get away from him and the low bed stuff, and that wasn't enough. So I ended up quitting, and I came to work for the truck I'm driving now. I came to drive for this guy for a part-time, you know, quick intermittent deal until this opportunity, working at a local crane company. You know, I was told I could get in. I just had to wait for the opportunity. So I did, and a few weeks of dump trucking here, I got in over at the crane place, and it was great. I mean, I loved it. I learned so much there, and they started me off at a pretty ugly truck, and they said, hey man, you do good, we're gonna give you this truck. And by the 3rd day, they were like, yeah man, you can drive, we're giving you a truck. So that was really cool. You know, really nice that was like the first big milestone for me to show that, you know, wow, I got this now, like I know what I'm doing. And I still make mistakes to this day. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but that was my first milestone of not being a total rookie anymore. I could get in a truck and say, yeah, man, I could back that in wherever you want. And I could, you know, like I said, I still make mistakes, but I spent a lot of time backing up my first year, and I moved ridiculous, you know, amount of stuff. And it just helped me get to where I was at that point. So then I built the cranes. I learned a lot about cranes and went further than I've ever went. I learned how to run a logbook and all that stuff. And then that kind of fell off because I was hoping to get into a different union and it didn't work out. So I went back to what I knew and did some more construction and some more dump trucking and did a lot more operating. You know, and this is kind of where things all came full circle. Mike Nugent's brother, Gus Proper, he unfortunately had an accident where he worked at a salt pier, and I was lucky enough to haul equipment up there early on. Sorry, you know, back when I still worked at Mike's, that all came about. But now full circle, like I said, back, you know, after the crane deal, I went back to that salt place and I was helping unload the boats and running equipment there and running a truck and all different stuff. So I always had, you know, a full-time gig, but then these little bits and pieces would pop in as side work and weekend work and night work, and I would try to just make money wherever I could. So it was always, you know, knowing somebody from a different company or knowing somebody from history, and everybody knew my dad, and it was just like, it always worked around. It was a very interesting way of coming up, and, you know, back to thanking my dad, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have known these people or been able to do these things. So around that time, like I said, bouncing through the construction stuff, my dad, you know, we were kind of on better terms, and he said, look, I want to buy a dump truck, and will you run it? So we did it. We started it going, and, you know, we named the company after my daughter's initials, and we were doing pretty well, but it was a lot, you know, on each of us. I mean, we were learning as we went, running day and night, and, you know, taking turns, trying to make it work, and we started bumping heads. And unfortunately, we got to a point where I had to walk. So I left. My dad went on for another year or so and tried it on his own and had, you know, hired help. And then he just said, you know what, it ain't worth it. I'm gonna let things go. And that's around the time he bought the cab over, because he figured I might as well have a truck to enjoy myself, but I'll get rid of these workhorses. And that's what he did. And I'm glad he did, because that cab over means a lot to both of us at this point. So thereafter, the construction stuff, and, you know, I bounced back to running a low bed for a while and went back to the dump truck. I kind of bounced all around, and it was back and forth with different trucks and all this and that. And at some point or another there, when I went back to this company, I was driving an R model and came to find out that it was the same truck my grandfather drove brand new when my dad was a kid. So that was just like a super cool moment for me. And again, that's another time it comes full circle. It's just mind-blowing how that works. And you know, I apologize, guys, I kind of get all over the place here, but it's hard to, you know, this isn't scripted, you know, this is just real life coming out of my memories here. So like I said, bouncing around and just kind of deciding who I want to work for and what I'm going to do. You know, I'm running for another friend of mine, driving his dump trucks, and I always kept busy. So then the next real full-time gig was 2020 construction, where you guys know the blue Ford and the red LT 9000, and we went out to North Dakota and got that Mack and the low bed. So, you know, he was a friend of my father's as well. Met him, and, you know, we started working together. He kind of learned what I was capable of and what I could do, and it worked out really well. And then it turned into, you know, dirt work or concrete work got a little slow. Hey man, I'll get a truck, man. I know you could drive. So bought a truck, we went hauling, and the rest is history. I mean, it was great. And then unfortunately, the township cracked down on him and told him, you know, his stuff's got to go. He can't have it there anymore. And it was too hard to find a place, and it was just so much at once. It was easier to kind of get rid of everything, liquidate, and, you know, keep a few things for himself. And, you know, I would go on my own way. So that's kind of what happened there. And that's why he's, you know, the trucks they're still for sale. Unfortunately, I didn't sell them yet. He did sell the 6-wheeler and the tag trailer, but he still has the Fords, which I'm looking to make a video and post them for him, try to help him get those trucks sold. But, you know, we worked well together, and I didn't want that whole deal to come to an end. I mean, we had a really good thing going, but it just, like I said, for him to have to close up everything, the township really screwed him on that deal. And, you know, I had to find a way to make means on my own, so here I am. And in that same time frame is when the YouTube thing, I had a car channel, you know, 2 years before this, and it never really blew up. But I taught myself how to make videos, and I kind of learned how to edit, and I've just been messing around with it ever since. And I always talked about making truck videos, but I just never did it. So finally I, started, and I mean, within days, it was like getting better views than a channel I've had for years. And I was like, okay, I don't know why this is, but this is cool. And I just ran with it, and here we are, So now that you guys have a rough idea of trucking and how I got into it, something a lot of people don't know yet or don't understand, but they will over time as you watch my channel and pay attention to me as a person. I eat, sleep, and breathe, driving trucks. I mean, I just love it. There's no better way to put it. Like, I think about it so deep compared to most drivers and most normal people. Like, when I'm in a stick shift, I'm in a normal truck, not this automatic nonsense. When I'm in a truck, I spend all day. It doesn't matter if I drove that truck for 2 years or I drive it. It doesn't matter. I try to shift that truck the best I can shift it every time I leave a red light. I'm always trying something new. I'm always trying to practice. I'm always trying to be better. Like, a lot of guys don't do that. They just throw through the gears. They don't care, and they beat this. Nah, man, every time I'm trying to get better. I'm rolling the window down to hear how good it sounds. It's just like a weird passion that I have that a lot of people don't understand. And I was raised to starting low. I can't do a higher gear thing. Like, maybe bobtailing downhill, you'll catch me in second or something, maybe, but it's rare. Like, if I'm hooked to something, I'll never start in anything other than low. If you give me an 18 speed, sometimes that low to first is too low, so I will start in first or the high side of first in an 18. But it's rare. I mean, I'm starting in low gear. I can't use the clutch. I don't like grinding them. I don't like the truck twisting. I don't even like using the brakes any more than I have to. I mean, I try to roll up to lights and time it and get it back in gear and keep rolling, keep the wheels turning. I don't like steering the steering wheel at a dead stop, because you're putting wear on the bottom of the tires for what? Get the truck rolling a little bit, them tires will turn much easier. There's just so many things that people don't understand, like dump trucks. This truck don't move unless the body's down. I watch these guys dump and take off running. I don't get it. I don't get it. So, there's just so much that goes into my mind and how I do things and why I do things the way I do that people don't understand just how deep my love for trucks is. I mean, I've got tattoos all over me, all truck related. I mean, the B model was a big thing for me. So I kind of, with the help of a sticker, I chopped it up and put my own dashboard on it, and put the quadruplex, the two sticks on there. And I have, the convoy truck on the back of my arm, the R700 there, and I have the duck in the middle. And that's stuff that, some people don't know or they don't understand. Like, my love for trucks, and more specifically, I want to get into convoy, it's huge. Like, far beyond anybody knows. Like, I have Mac stuff since I was a kid. I have all kind of memorabilia and collectibles and pieces, and anything I can get my hands on that said Mac, I wanted it. And same thing, another full circle moment. I've had this scarf since I was a kid, and I couldn't tell you where I got it. I didn't know. And one day, talking and seeing it, my dad goes, "Man, that's my scarf. You got that scarf?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't know how to get it from you." And I think it was given to him when he was young, and I don't even know how I got it. He must have given it to me at some point. But it's just really cool to still have that stuff from so long. And like I said about convoy, I mean, I love convoy more than probably anybody watching this video. I mean, I have the VHS, the DVD, I've got the diecast model thanks to my dad. I've got the paperback book from '78. I've got C.W. McCall on vinyl. I've got the CD. I've got it all. I mean, tattoos, everything. I watch the movie once a week, if not, more than that. I mean, I know it word for word. I know everything about it. And one day I will build a replica truck. And I really hope that it's on the channel. I hope you guys can be a part of it. And I hope we can make a convoy one day with that truck out in front. That is my goal. So hopefully you guys can stay tuned to see that one day. That's my big goal. But this video has been a long time coming. I mean, a lot of people wanted to know how this got started and how I got into trucking, and it runs a lot deeper than anybody knows. A lot deeper. So, any questions, let me know. I'll make a recap video and I'll follow up on this stuff, and we'll get back into it. And I'd love to tell more and more and more stories, because I've got good ones. I mean, I've got funny ones. And you know, all I need to do is know that you guys care to see it or hear it. And you know, the final thing I wanted to touch base on, you know, going off of what this video is going to be called, how Only4Trucks became, you know, my buddy Jesse and I, real good friends, we started a channel, and well, not, it was long before a channel. I mean, we started an Xbox named Only4Cylinders. You know, we were pretty big into Hondas, and we were racing them and stuff. We said that that's all it took to beat them was only 4 cylinders, so that's what we went with. And then when I started doing the truck videos, I was like, man, I don't know what to call it. And I started coming up with all these ideas, and nothing really fit. And he was like, I don't know, only 4 cylinders, only 4 trucks. Like, that's, we just kind of like hit that off each other, and that was it ever since. So unfortunately, there wasn't like a big, deep thought behind it. And sometimes I wonder if I could have come up with a cooler name, but now it fits, it's stuck, and I love it. I still have yet to create a legitimate logo, but I am working on it. It'll always be based around that groovy 70s trucking font. I mean, I love that stuff. So we're gonna get a legit logo coming soon. You know, I'm hoping to have a lot of shirts and stickers. I like having cool truck stuff, so I know people watching will want the same. So there's plenty of great stuff to come to the channel, guys. Like I said, I'm gonna be talking about my previous job and what's up with that stuff, and some of it will be for sale. We have plenty of stuff to work on with Diane at her place, and my dad's R model's got to get finished up. We got some work to do on the cab over ever since he blew that tire, and we're trying to get ready for next year. Moving forward from this, I'm hoping to, you know, we're going to be trying to put that cab over on the road, and I'm hoping to work it every day and start bringing you guys hauling videos. My dad's an operator currently, but I'm trying to coax him back into driving, which would be awesome. And you know, we're looking to just have trucks on the road, and also go to tons of shows and meet people, and just enjoy, you know, trucking for what it is, what we can salvage of it anyway, because we don't know how long this is going to be around. So I hope that answers a lot of questions for you guys and gives you guys a rough idea of where I came from and how this all started. And there's so much more to cover basis on. I probably missed some, and there's going to be things I wish I would have said, but you know, there's only so much I can think of right off the top of my head, and I don't, like I said, I don't want to bore you guys too much, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to see or want to hear. I really appreciate you guys watching. I can't stress that enough. Like, the comments, I try to read and answer everyone I can. Sometimes they get, you know, to be, you know, too much volume, and I can't keep up, but I'm trying. But I definitely read them. I'm sure some of you or most of you know that already. And you know, without you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. So I just want to thank you guys, you know, sincerely. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. The fact that you guys love watching us, it blows my mind. I never really thought I was that cool. I know we're goofy, you know, we're definitely funny, just a couple of foul balls having a good time. But you know, it's just awesome that you guys are pushing us along and motivating us to keep going and do better. So thank you guys very much again. If you haven't, please subscribe and keep on trucking, guys. I'll see you on the next one.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, brother. Over and out.